Welcome back to Local 4 Live, everybody. A live look at Ford Field this morning where a major shakeup is happening in Detroit sports. Say goodbye to the Michigan Panthers. The United football team reportedly moving away from Ford Field and Detroit ahead of the 2026 season. Shante Passmore is outside Ford Field with this abrupt change.
Hey there, just wild to think that the Michigan Panthers were on the road to the UFL Championship. Reportedly appears the team is getting ready to pack up their bags and say goodbye to Ford Field for good. The team finished the regular season with a 6-4 record, advancing to the UFL Championship before falling to the DC Defenders. It's the same team that paved the way for kicker Jake Bates to be signed by the Detroit Lions. This morning, online reaction is pouring in. A WDIV insider writing in part, "I'm a football lover and have never watched a UFL game. No time for football this time of season." On Facebook, this person writes, "Come on, I could actually watch a live game without having to sell my kidney. This kind of sucks." James Larson of PF Newsroom reports the Panthers are among 4 teams slated for relocation. The seasoned sports journalist focused on spring football leagues says the UFL is relocating Michigan, Houston, Birmingham, and Memphis to new markets in Florida, Boise, Columbus, and Kentucky. The league's business model has been under scrutiny due to declining TV ratings and ticket sales issues, prompting a sweeping personnel cutback in several markets, including Michigan. Larson highlights that the high expenses of maintaining the franchise at Ford Field have outweighed the benefits. The bottom line, the move is described as a cost-cutting measure needed for the league's survival. The decision also partly because of smaller crowds. We're learning that most cities actually saw a dip in attendance, with the exception, and maybe this is not a surprise, Michigan, which actually saw some growth. We're near Ford Field. I'm Shante Passmore, Local 4.
And I think that is the most surprising part. Joining me more to talk about this is Derek Hutchison, the executive producer of ClickOnDetroit.com and the co-host of Detroit Sports Plus. Thanks, Derek, for coming in. This kind of caught a lot of us off guard. It's understandable that if a team is not performing, they're going to go to a market where they could perform better in attendance and ticket sales and merch and all that. That didn't seem to be the case here.
Yeah, it's weird, right? Because the other 3 markets that are moving, they saw a decline in attendance. But the Michigan Panthers had a good season. People here were going to the games. So, yeah, it caught us off guard a little bit.
Especially when you look at the markets that they're looking at expanding into and moving. So it's Boise, Florida, probably Orlando, Columbus, and Kentucky, maybe Louisville, Lexington, somewhere in that area. Those aren't football towns. Is that the point?
It feels like they're trying to maybe capture towns that don't have an NFL team, maybe a team that those cities can latch onto, right? Like in Boise, Idaho, you don't have the Detroit Lions to overshadow a potential UFL team. So that seems like maybe their last-ditch effort to make this work.
So I guess my question, then, though, is infrastructure. So here they play at Ford Field because it was already there. Do they build something? Do they play at a high school? I mean, is that part of the conversation? Because I'm guessing renting Ford Field is probably fairly expensive.
Well, there's big college towns in all of those places. Like maybe they're going to play at the Horseshoe in Columbus. Maybe they'll play at Boise State in Idaho. You know, I'm sure that I don't see them building new multi-million-dollar stadiums for these UFL teams that might be moved again in 2 years. So I'm guessing that they're going to go for more of a college venue.
Right. So when you look at attendance for the Panthers, you look at the pictures of Ford Field, and obviously they're not selling as the Lions do. We knew that would never happen, but they were still doing pretty good, and we supported the team.
Yeah. I thought that, you know, these spin-off football leagues are never going to do, like you said, 60,000 in Ford Field, right?
Right.
They're all just trying to sort of capture the football fan who misses it in the spring.
Sure.
I mean, that's the essence of it. And like you said, there were people who watched these games at Ford Field. I mean, there were some fun moments. Last year, they make it to the championship game. So those fans, I guess, are just going to have to, you know, get their football kick somewhere else.
Does this surprise you, or did you?
It surprised me that, just because if they were going to do it, why would they do it after a year where attendance rose, where the team did really well, you know?
Right. Is there a business decision behind that? Or
It's got to be. Yeah.
We just don't know what it is.
It feels like this league, every time they try these leagues, it feels like they're destined to fail because the NFL is such an overshadowing, humongous operation. And if things aren't going well, you know, they just had all the layoffs and the financials aren't great. The ratings aren't great. So it's almost like we have to try something sort of situation.
So if you're the UFL commissioner and you are in debt at this point, what would you try to do to turn the league around then and try to make some money?
Well, I certainly wouldn't go to Columbus. You know, yeah, I mean, I get trying to go into these markets because the people here are never going to feel like the Panthers are their football team. You know, the Lions are here.
Right.
Not only that, there's two massive college programs within an hour of here, you know, in Michigan and Michigan State.
Yeah.
So it feels like the Panthers are always going to be, you know, like the redheaded stepchild,
Right.
you know?
We're kind of oversaturated.
Exactly.
As it is.
But
Yeah.
maybe, you know, fans in some of these smaller cities.
You could say Columbus is lesser. That's
Yeah,
fine.
Columbus is lesser. But yeah, smaller sports market cities might be more obliged to follow these teams.
Maybe people are willing to spend their money, go to a
Sure.
game, buy some merch.
If you're not a big college sports fan and you live in
Yeah.
Boise, Idaho, but you love football, maybe you'd buy season tickets to a UFL team. I'm guessing that is what the commissioner is hoping.
Yeah.
You know, whether I think that would work is not relevant, but yeah, I just these spin-off football leagues are just they pop up every once in a while. You know, whether it's the UFL, the XFL, and you know, it typically goes the same way.
Gotcha. Okay, so then I saw some people online branching this conversation into other sports as well, saying, well, if they can't survive, will the WNBA survive? Will Detroit City FC survive? I don't know if that's really an apples-to-apples
Yeah,
comparison.
no, to me, that is not the same. I mean, those sports are less popular maybe than the NFL still,
Yeah.
but like there's big interest in the WNBA. You know, they've got some star power. There's no larger women's basketball league overshadowing it, you know?
right.
It is the women's basketball league in this country. So those leagues I don't think are operating under the same disadvantages that some of these lesser football leagues are.
Okay, Derek Hutchinson, thanks, man. I appreciate your time.